Are you tired? Are you in pain? Have you brain fog? Are you always fighting a flu? Are doctors diagnosing you with awful diseases? Isn't it time to stop digging your grave with your fork? Discover the 4 secrets to vibrant health right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast online radio and TV network, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton, and joining us as usual is Martin Patella, health coach at Life Enthusiast. Hey, Martin, how are you doing?
It's a good life. Thanks, Scott. Hey.
So this is the first of a 4-part series that we're going to do, and we're going to be talking about malnutrition versus superfoods. We live in a society that gives us tons of calories, and we're starving for nutrition. So we really want, I want to talk about a number of things with nutrition, but the first one that I want to talk about is how people fry their foods. Okay, so I love fried eggs, and when I was growing up, my dad would throw 5 or 6 slices of bacon in the frying pan. It would all sizzle and everything else. There would be this nice oil on the bottom. He'd throw the eggs in. He'd baste the eggs with the fat from the bacon, and that's what we ate. Today, we'll put vegetable oil in. We'll put canola oil in. We'll put some sort of other type of oil in. And what happens when it gets hot? It turns rancid. And there's a couple people that have been doing studies on rancidity, and they say, well, you know, it's not that bad, but, and I just want to start us off with the quote. Experts agree that eating rancid food or oils from time to time is probably not harmful, but they do suspect that regular consumption could contribute to the development of inflammatory diseases, cardiovascular illness, and even certain cancers. And I'm going to put the link to this in the comments, and it'll be in the descriptions, so you can check out the whole thing yourself if you want. So Martin, how many people these days when they fry their eggs have put bacon in and they're frying it in bacon grease? And how many have put some sort of ugly, and then what about donuts? You know, or the deep fry?
Well, okay, let's talk about 3 things, right? So 1, which type of fat? 2, what's the temperature of it? And 3, how long have you been using it?
Right.
So some fats have very low resistance to heating. Like, for example, olive oil, you wreck it quickly. So don't cook with it. Use it as a salad dressing. Only if you, especially the virgin oil, you can get the thinned out olive oil. You can cook with that. The best oils that resist a high temperature would be something like coconut oil. You can heat that up quite a bit. But better yet, animal fat works awesomely well, like beef tallow, pork lard, or chicken fat, duck fat, all of those. Like the best omelet in the world is made with duck fat. Anyhow, so you don't want to heat your food terribly much. The truth is, the higher the temperature for cooking, the more carcinogenic foods you will produce. So your easiest or healthiest ways of cooking will be water-based, like steamed or poached or stewed or soup or something like that. Those are the healthier ways of cooking things. Deep frying is on the extreme, as is barbecue, flame cooking. That's just not healthy. So the second thing now is which fat, which will be, if you use plant oils like corn oil, soybean oil, safflower, canola, those type of oils, they are used in deep fryers and should not be. They don't do well with high temperature. They're carcinogenic as hell. And then how long? the restaurant where you went to get your French fries or your donut or whatever else they fry, how long has it been since they changed the oil in their fryer? You probably remember the smell of a stale, rancid fryer. It's got that specific sour kind of nasty oil smell. You'll recognize it as you're walking toward the restaurant. I remember Kentucky Fried Chicken in my town. Within half a block, I could smell that I'm near Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it was nasty. Anyway, that's my story, Scott. What do you think?
I think the same thing. I think if you're a restaurant owner, you're going to want to make as much profit as possible, and you're going to be looking at the oil and saying, I can get another day out of this before
or I can filter it, right? Like I can run it through a cheesecloth, catch out all the little bits, and put it right back in.
Yeah, that's what I would be thinking. And I don't know that there's any test that people have for if it's rancid or it's not. But I mean, when you think about the number of fast food outlets that we have, the amount of fried potatoes that people eat, and fried eggs and all the rest of it,
And then chicken and fried fish, you name it.
So if you were eating a lot of rancid seed oil, would that be something that would cause you to be obese?
Not necessarily. Well, indirectly. First thing it's going to do is going to wreck your liver, because your liver is having to process all these fats, and especially when they're peroxidated, rancid, they're going to have put a great deal of burden on your processing power. So you'll end up with a challenged liver and a challenged gallbladder, and your health will suffer.
Yeah. And it's possible and the thing is too, is you don't think, like, if you, for the first time ever, ate French fries that were cooked in rancid oil today, tomorrow you're not going to be sick. But, you and I are over 50. And so if starting at age 8 for me, my dad took me to A&W and we had fried onion rings and French fries. So starting at 8 to now over 50, that's a lot of years of, even if I was only once a week, which it probably wasn't, it was probably more, of eating bad stuff. Now I'm probably wondering, like, why do I have cancer of something? And it's, well, one, not the only probably factor is the fact that I've been eating rancid seed oil for most of my life.
Yeah. There are alternatives, even in seed oils. There's this guy called Andreas Wecker, whose oils we have in our store, who extracts oil under low friction, lower pressure. Right? Like industrial methods, you try to do things fast. So you raise the pressure and raise the friction, which also heats the oil. He does the opposite. He takes his sweet time to extract the oils, and they are stored in Miron glass, which is that violet glass that improves the resilience of the foods that you store in them. And that oil you can have on your kitchen counter, not refrigerated, for 2 or 3 years, and it will be still fine.
Wow. But the chances of somebody buying 50-gallon drums of it to cook their French fries in is pretty much non-existent.
No, zero.
So we get back to this society that wants to do things cheap and easy and doesn't really care too much about the possible long-term effects, right? Like,
right.
No one's done a study of the long-term effects of eating although there was that of eating French fries for 50 years, but there was this guy who did a documentary where he went to McDonald's and he ate 3 meals a day. And after a month, his doctor begged him to stop because he was about to have a heart attack.
Yeah. Spurlock was his last name. I'm trying to think of his first name. It's not coming to me. Morgan Spurlock. He actually died recently, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. He did.
Well, big surprise if you spend all your time at McDonald's, right?
Well, I don't know. He did 30 days, right? And he did it with tests, and he was eating 3 meals at McDonald's. He picked McDonald's. And whenever the clerk suggested, would you like to supersize it? He said he was obligated to say yes. So he had supersized drinks and supersized fries whenever the clerk offered it.
Right.
And after 2 weeks, his liver was already dying. And after 30 days, he was in a very, very significant health problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And he put on a lot of weight.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Balloon. Yeah.
Ballooned up. Okay. All right. So that was the one thing I wanted to do, because we've been talking, and there's been a lot of people talking about seed oils and the problems with that. Let's shift a little bit now to ultra processed foods. So we have grains, we have rice, and the beauty of those things is that they last for a long, long time. And we needed those things when we had famines. Like, it wasn't that many decades, or I guess centuries ago, where, there was 7 years of no crops. Well, you had granaries full of grain that you were able to, pull out, make bread, and survive those years. But while there has been famine, like in Ukraine and in Russia in the middle of the last century,
well, guess what? That was not caused by nature. That was caused by politics.
By man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the planet, by the way,
China,
Scott,
the same thing.
Yeah, it should be said, the planet does not have a food quantity problem. We're not hungry because of what's being grown, but because how it's distributed. It's a time and place problem.
It's not a lack of food for everybody.
Yeah.
There's enough food to feed everybody on the planet, but there's a strong will for wars, and there's not a strong will for feeding people.
Yeah. But anyway, you wanted to talk about the deficiencies, ultra processed foods, right? Here's the key point here is calories versus nutrients. What's happening is with industrial agricultural methods, you're fertilizing the fields, you're causing the foods to grow faster, bigger, beautiful, but you're not optimizing for quality of content, you're optimizing for the looks and for volume. And so you may have vegetables that look great, but they actually don't have a lot of mineralization or nutrients in them. And especially when you're eating grains, or actually the fast food general diet, right? Like if you have a feedlot fed cow that you have butchered, made into ground beef, that you're adding to it white flour buns or corn tacos made with genetically modified corn, all of that kind of business, frying in soybean oil and so on, you're putting out a lot of calories, but you're not putting out enough nutrients. And that's the whole problem with ultra processed foods. They have been prepared in such a way that they make you want more, because it really plays on your nervous system. The mouthfeel and the crunchiness and the fattiness and whatever, that has been studied extensively and optimized. So you will be tempted to eat more, and your body will tell you to eat more because there are not enough nutrients. So by the time you get enough nutrients, you will have eaten too many calories. And that's what the problem is with ultra-processed foods.
Right. And I want to get you to add one more thing to that. And in the processing of, say, wheat, we grind it. And we grind it in such a way that everything that could possibly go rancid, go bad, because we were just talking about rancidity, is gone, which is why you can have a 20 kilogram bag of wheat on the grocery store shelves for like years, and nobody really cares, because it's dead food. It's dead flour that you're going to, like, if you went in the home and you hand ground it, and then you turned it into flour, and then you made it into bread, That's an entirely different loaf of bread than what you're going to get if you just go to the store and you get whatever you need to get to make bread. Because
yeah, no kidding. Those mills that milled flour back when 300 years ago, that was real food. And you would go there with 1 or 2 bags of grain, and you would get back 1 or 2 bags of flour, and you would have to go back a month later because that's how you did it.
yeah.
Fresh.
And if you didn't use up the flour, the chances are you wouldn't be able to, because it would spoil.
Exactly that.
Right. So we've gone through this thing of, well, we don't want anything to get wasted. We don't want to get anything go spoiled. But the only way to do that is to kill it. So
similar story with fats, with oils. Like, for example, in India, they used to have these traveling oil extractors, grinders. Guys would arrive with their, I don't know, perhaps motorcycle. I don't know how they get around, but they would come to the village and they would fresh grind the seed to extract the oil. And they would be back a week later. You never had more than a week's supply of oil on hand. And it was fresh. Now we have it high pressure, high temperature processed, deodorized, degummed. I don't know what else they do with it. Several other steps where you remove almost anything that's worth having, and you leave behind still oil, but only the part that's probably least desirable of it all.
Right. Someone once told me that oil, the best use of it is in your car.
Yeah, lubricant. Actually, yeah, that's the story of rapeseed, right? I mean, it's rapus, I think is the name. It's a Latin name, right? It doesn't mean rape as in the language as we say to assault someone. It actually is from Latin, and it's a plant from the mustard family. But it was originally cultivated specifically for machine use, industrial lubrication.
Right. So not for human consumption.
Well, now it is used in so many things.
Right. So we are very concerned about being censored and banned and thrown off of all the major social media sites when we talk about things that we shouldn't be talking about. And Telegram is one place where we can kind of let go and be uncensored. So after the show, you can find us on Telegram. And I thought that was the link, but here's the link. T.Life and Co. And we're going to be going there in 7 minutes. So I'm going to leave this up for right now. But there were one of the reasons that I was bringing up this grinding is I know that in the superfoods that we create at Life Enthusiast, we don't have these huge, massive grinding machines that burn and cook all the stuff that we grind up. And so when we talk about these superfoods, they're full of the nutrition they're supposed to be having. And the one I want to talk about right now is iridesca. So let's talk a little bit about this amazing superfood.
Yeah.
We've only got
Actually, it's worth saying is when we grind seeds in our store, we actually grind it together in the presence of emulsifiers and antioxidants. So the moment the seed is broken and its inner precious content is exposed to the air, it's already immediately being surrounded by antioxidants and emulsifiers that make it possible for all the oily, greasy things to bind really well. So it lasts a long time and it amplifies the utility. You get more out of the nutrients than you would get otherwise. Iridesca itself, it's about 350 ingredients. It's a very complex product. And I would liken it to this. Like you can easily make music, even beautiful music, with a string quartet. That's two violins, one viola, and one cello. That's your string quartet, right? Good music. But with the iridesca, it's a lot like a whole symphonic orchestra, where you have 5 of everything, and you have the woodwinds, and you'll have the brasses, and you'll have the timpani and whatever else stuff, and you add to it a choir as well. And now you can stage a Beethoven Fifth Symphony with the works, right? Well, iridescent is a lot like that. It gives you a broad palette of nutrients, and there's multiplication and multi-layers of it. There's vitamin C in 40 of the ingredients, and there's vitamin B, this and that in many of them. So the fats and the alkaloids and the terpenes and the whatever phenols, all of that is well represented and well mixed. We have very carefully selected and balanced all of these things.
And what I like about it is the fact that because I'm traveling a lot, but I mean, I can be a little bit negligent on my food choices. And I know that if I have a glass of iridescent in the morning, every morning, that I'm getting the full amount of nutrients to start my day off right. And not that I'm going to fry my eggs in rapeseed oil or anything. I'm going to try to do everything right during the day. But this just gives me that confidence knowing that I am getting a whole bunch of stuff. And you said 350 ingredients, right? Well, I don't think, if you think about it, there's 30 different ingredients in all the foods most of us eat during the day. Like, we seem to be very, very narrow in
take apart your Greek salad, right? 7 or 8 things max.
Yeah. And then your burger, right? 7 or 8 things max, and half of them are no good. So the nice thing about iridescent, it's been around for decades. It's proven. I've been drinking it for 2 decades, and it's just like, it gives you that foundation. We're really talking about the foundation of good health. A really good superfood is the basis of that foundation, because you're now getting all those nutrients that you're not getting from the standard American diet, SAD, and you're getting it in an easy, like, take 5 minutes, drink down the glass, and you put a little juice in it, and you're done, right? You've got all those ingredients in you, and you're in good shape. So that, to me, is really the key to iridescent. And we had one more that we wanted to quickly talk about, and that was the E3 enzyme supreme, because one of the things when you've got ultra processed foods is there's no enzymes. And enzymes, well, they're not very important, are they, Martin?
Well, it's sort of, an enzyme acts a lot like the spark plug in your automobile's engine. You can have all the oxygen you want, you can have all the fuel you want. If you don't have a spark, you're not going anywhere, because the combustion will not happen. Enzymes are the converters. They convert things, either combining things to make new items or taking things apart to digest. And that's the digestive enzymes. They are really good at helping to turn the raw foods into digestible foods as you put them in your body. And you have amylase for starch, and protease for protein, and many others. Anyway, there's no point in me going through the list. You need about 20 ingredients in a decent food enzyme mix. And when you eat cooked food, the enzyme activity has been diminished or completely shut down. Salad has all the ingredients and the enzymes still intact. The iridescent we mentioned earlier, that's raw food, loaded with enzyme. But cooked food, no enzyme. Therefore, you should be, every time you're eating a food that's been cooked, you should be adding a digestive enzyme with it.
Right. Cool. So we're coming to the end of our time. We've only got a couple minutes left. t.me/life&co. Join us there. We're going to be delving into this uncensored. All the 2 products that we've talked about are in the comments section, and they'll also be in the descriptions.
Yeah.
So you
The main
can check them
advantage
out.
you'll see there is that we're actually interactive. You can ask us questions directly.
Right. And before we go, we just want to say Martin is he's a health coach. He's been a health coach for decades and decades. And if you want a free 15-minute consultation, talk about your situation, whether it's a bad situation or a good one, and you want to make it better, then you can head over to this link. We'll put it into the comments and set up a time to chat with Martin. So with that, Martin, any last words before we sign off?
I really like Telegram. It's a place where I get to interact with people without much concern.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll see you over at Telegram. Bye for now.